All right, so today we're going deep on Elon Musk.
We are.
This guy, I mean, everyone knows the name. You see the headlines all the time, but I feel like there's so much more to it
Oh, absolutely.
than, just those surface level headlines about, whatever crazy thing he just tweeted. Or,
Yeah.
whatever new thing Tesla is doing, or
Yeah.
SpaceX just blew up another rocket or whatever.
Right.
Like, this guy has really reshaped
That is
multiple huge industries. I mean, from electric vehicles,
that.
that's pretty much because of him.
Absolutely. I think that's fair to say.
And then space travel, like it's insane.
I mean, what's fascinating is when you actually look at his entire trajectory,
Yeah.
it is the audacity of it all.
Right.
Like, that's the thing that really stands out.
Yeah.
And the sources that we've got for this deep dive really do trace that path step by step
Okay.
from his early life all the way to the present day.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today, that should you choose to accept it,
Okay, I'm in here.
is to understand how has this guy had such a huge impact on all these different fields?
Right.
Like, what is it about his personality and his approach that has led to this level of influence?
Okay, so let's start for you
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Okay.
June 28th, 1971.
Right.
Pretoria, South Africa.
South Africa.
It seems like even from his early years, there were signs that this guy was going to be different.
Yeah.
I mean, he created and sold his first video game when he was 12 years old.
Get out of here.
Blastar.
Blastar.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I haven't.
I have not. No.
That's incredible, though.
That's not a normal 12-year-old experience
I
to,
know.
be
Right.
programming and selling video games.
Well, what jumps out at you there is like the fusion of the entrepreneurial
Yes.
with the technical, like right away.
Yeah.
He's got those two sides of him working together.
Totally.
And one of the things the material really highlights is that even though he had a pretty difficult childhood.
He was bullied pretty badly.
Yeah.
But he just never wavered from this interest in computers and innovation.
Wow.
That's pretty remarkable. Like, he
Yeah.
kind of had that focus,
Yeah.
even amidst some pretty challenging circumstances.
So resilience.
Yeah, that's the word that keeps coming up over and over again in his story.
Wow.
And I think that's something important to kind of keep in mind as we go through this.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so the path to becoming an American icon wasn't exactly a straight line for him.
No, it wasn't.
So he moved to Canada when he was 17
Oh.
and study.
Hmm.
And then eventually he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania here in the U.S.
Gotcha.
And he got degrees in physics and economics.
Whoa, that's a really interesting combo.
It is.
You wouldn't automatically think, future tech titan
Right.
is going to have that particular academic background.
Totally. I think it kind of speaks to something, though.
What's
Like,
low?
he's got this understanding of the natural world.
From the physics.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also got this grasp of how markets work from the economics.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like this dual perspective
Okay.
that maybe kind of informs his approach
Right, it makes sense.
to these different ventures later on.
Totally. And then, of course, there's that moment where he drops out of his PhD program at Stanford after only 2 days.
2 days.
Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Getting into Stanford, which is, one of the most prestigious programs in the world.
Absolutely.
And being like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm out of here.
I'm out.
After 48 hours.
That's wild.
And what's so interesting about that is that the source material really highlights this, that he just saw this huge opportunity with the internet in the 90s.
Right.
And he was just like, I've got to go do this.
He just knew.
Like, I've got to seize this moment.
It's now or never.
Yeah. And that kind of vision and decisive action
Yeah.
is pretty rare.
It is rare.
To be able to be like, I'm abandoning this path, which, most people would think is a very secure, prestigious.
Absolutely. The safe route, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go do this.
I'm going to go risk it all on this thing.
Yeah.
That I think it's going to be huge.
Wow. So that bold decision led him to his first big entrepreneurial success. Zip2. You familiar with this one?
Vaguely.
Okay, so this was a software company that provided online maps and directories to newspapers.
So like before Google Maps?
Exactly. Yeah, it seems almost archaic now when you think about it.
It does.
But back then it was pretty groundbreaking because
Yeah.
people were just starting to get online.
Yeah.
And newspapers were still, the main source of information for a lot of people.
Totally.
So he saw this need and he filled it.
And I think what's interesting is he recognized that shift
Right.
towards online information.
Yeah.
Like he was ahead of the curve on that one.
Totally. So Compaq ends up acquiring Zip2
They do.
for $307 million, which is a pretty huge chunk of change.
That is a nice payday.
Especially back then.
For sure.
But he didn't just ride off into the sunset.
No, he was just getting started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, X.com.
Oh, yeah.
Which most people probably know as PayPal now.
Right.
What do you mean?
What a game changer.
It was.
Online payments.
Yeah, like the way we buy and sell things online.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine the internet without it.
It really is.
But back then.
I mean, can you imagine having to write a check for everything you bought online or give out your credit card number over the phone or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it really was a total revolution.
Totally.
So PayPal grows super fast.
It does.
And eBay buys it in 2002 for $1.5 billion.
1.5 billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So now he's got this huge influx of capital, and this is where things start to get really interesting.
Things get really interesting because it's not just about the money for him.
Right.
It's about what he can do with that money.
Okay.
And this is where his ambitions start to move beyond just, software and internet companies.
So this is where we get to...
This is where we get to the really bold ventures.
Okay.
So 2002, he founds SpaceX with this goal of making space travel affordable and eventually colonizing Mars.
Colonizing Mars.
Like, that's not something you hear every day.
It's insane.
Right? Like, this guy just made a ton of money from PayPal.
Yeah.
And instead of, retiring to an island somewhere, he's like, I'm going to go try to put people on Mars.
It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
It does. It does.
Honest.
And I think what's important to remember here is that at the time, space exploration was pretty much the exclusive domain of governments and these big aerospace companies. Like, no one was really talking about private space travel.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes along.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to change all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
So SpaceX.
Yeah.
It wasn't all smooth sailing.
Oh, no.
From the beginning.
No, not at all.
Those early setbacks.
Brutal.
The first 3 rocket launches.
All failed.
They all failed.
Can you imagine?
I mean, that's got to be just crushing.
Absolutely devastating.
I'm like, you've put so much time and money and energy into this.
Your heart and soul.
And it just blows up.
Literally blows up.
3 times in a row.
Yeah. And they were really close to going bankrupt.
Wow.
Like, those failures almost killed the company.
So what happened?
Well, they persevered.
Okay.
They kept going.
Wow.
Which is remarkable in and of itself.
It is.
Most people would have given up at that point.
Yeah.
But they kept iterating. They kept learning from those failures.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, that 4th launch, 2008, they achieved orbit.
They did it.
It was a huge turning point.
That's incredible.
For the company.
So they proved it was possible.
Yeah, they showed that they could actually do it.
Yeah.
And I think that success really caught the attention of NASA.
Oh, yeah.
Because NASA was looking for ways to reduce the cost of getting to space.
Right.
And they saw that SpaceX had the potential to do just that.
So they gave SpaceX a contract.
They did $1.6 billion.
Whoa.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And it basically saved the company.
Wow.
It gave them the resources they needed to keep developing their rockets and their technology.
Incredible.
It's a great example of how government investment can really play a crucial role in supporting innovation.
Totally. So while all this is going on with SpaceX, he's also getting involved with Tesla.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Like he's running these 2 massive companies, tackling these 2 huge challenges at the same time.
It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around.
It is.
So he invests in Tesla when it's still struggling, and he eventually becomes the CEO.
Yeah.
And you look at Tesla now, and I mean, it's crazy how much they've changed the car industry.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, electric vehicles went from being this kind of niche thing to like the mainstream.
It's like the future of transportation now.
And Tesla is like leading the charge.
Absolutely.
It's hard to imagine where we'd be without them.
No kidding.
And they're one of the most valuable car companies in the world now.
It's insane.
It's incredible. And it's like he did all this while also running SpaceX.
It's mind-boggling.
So we're going to call this segment 3, Bold Ventures.
Bold Ventures. I like that.
But we've got to move on to segment 4.
Okay.
Because
segment 4?
This journey hasn't been all sunshine and roses.
Oh, no.
There's been a lot of controversy
For sure.
along the way and public scrutiny.
Yeah.
I mean,
it comes with the territory, I guess.
I guess so. But
Yeah.
his tweets,
Oh, boy.
right? Like, he's known for being bold.
Bold. Sometimes reckless.
Yeah, and that's gotten him into trouble with,
Investors, regulators,
Yeah.
the SEC.
like, a lot of people.
Yeah, he's definitely ruffled some feathers.
And it's not just the tweets.
No.
His companies have also faced their fair share of challenges.
Yeah, they have.
Tesla's had production delays,
Right.
financial problems, legal battles,
Mm-hmm.
and SpaceX has had those multiple rocket failures that we talked about.
Right.
I mean, these weren't just like small bumps in the road.
Yeah.
These were like existential threats to these companies.
Yeah, they could have easily gone under.
Totally. But he's always managed to recover.
He has.
It's kind of amazing.
It is.
It's like he's got this ability to just bounce back from anything.
I think it goes back to that resilience we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Like, he just doesn't give up.
Yeah,
He's also a huge risk taker.
totally.
And he seems to view failure as just part of the process.
Interesting.
Like, it's something to learn from,
Okay.
not something to be afraid of.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. I think it's a big part of why he's been so successful.
Okay, so
Yeah.
segment 5.
Segment 5. All right.
We're calling this key principles behind the success.
All right, let's break it down.
So looking back at everything we've talked about with Elon Musk's journey,
Mm-hmm.
what are the main takeaways?
Okay, well, the first one that jumps out at me is think big.
Think big.
Like, his goals aren't about making small incremental improvements.
Right.
He's talking about colonizing Mars,
Yeah.
electrifying all transportation.
It's like he's thinking on a completely different scale
Exactly.
than most people.
Yeah, and those goals might seem impossible at first,
Yeah.
but he just goes for it.
Wow.
He's not afraid to aim high.
Okay, so think big.
Think big,
And then what?
and then take risks.
Take risks.
He's not afraid to try things that have never been done before.
Right.
And he knows that he might fail,
Yeah.
but he's willing to take that risk
Okay.
because the potential rewards are so huge.
Interesting.
And he also works incredibly hard.
Yeah.
We're talking like 80 to 100-hour work weeks.
That's insane.
It is insane.
Like, I can't even imagine working that much.
Most people can't.
But that's the level of dedication
Yeah.
that it takes to achieve these kinds of goals.
Absolutely.
So think big, take risks,
Work your butt off,
work your butt off,
and then innovate continuously.
innovate continuously. Okay.
Yeah. Like, it's not enough for him to just create something new.
Right.
He's always looking for ways to improve it, to make it better, to disrupt the industry.
So never be satisfied.
Never be satisfied.
Always be pushing forward.
Always be pushing forward.
Wow, it's a lot.
It is.
But I guess that's what it takes
Exactly.
to be Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear that Elon Musk has had a huge impact on the world
Absolutely.
across so many different areas.
And I think regardless of whether you admire him or you have some reservations about him,
Right.
you can't deny the impact that he's had.
It's undeniable. And as we look to the future,
Right.
I mean, the implications of his work are really profound.
They are.
Like, just the idea of establishing a human colony on Mars.
I know.
That's something that would change humanity forever.
It would.
So as you think about everything we've discussed today,
Yeah.
I want you to consider what aspects of his journey really stand out to you.
Yeah.
And what do you think the biggest impact of his work will be moving forward?
It's a story that's still unfolding,
It is.
and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive
It's been a pleasure.
on Elon Musk.
Fascinating guy.
He is.
For sure.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See you later.